at home, be happy. Anyway, welcome to the show. So before I do so, you know what my friends call me? They call me Mr. White. Do I look like a white guy here? Well, I try to be, you know. But it's one of those things. But guess what? The funniest thing I always want to talk about is this thing. You know, my dad married to 45 wives. Hold on 1 second, we're going somewhere, just relax. And then he has 18 girlfriends, 45 kids. So now guess what? What number am I? Guess what? What number you think I'm going to be?
One.
Good luck.
Chris, this is Michael O'Sullivan from Stream on Distro, Ireland's fastest growing digital music distribution company. I would really love to be on your show to tell you all about it. A little over 2 years ago, I got frustrated with the music industry, how impersonal it was getting, with artists needing the algorithms and the impersonal touches of music distributors. So I decided to start my own company. And we now have over 400 artists with us, and we're growing really quickly. And we provide a very personal service. We're bringing personal back into the music industry. We're working with our artists. We help them get on playlists. We get them on podcasts. We distribute their music to Spotify, Apple, Deezer, and hundreds of platforms worldwide. And I would love to get a chance to sit on your show and talk to you and tell you more about it. So I hope to hear from you soon and be on here.
Fly, you know, welcome everybody. Come make some noise, everybody, for me, everybody. Thank you. Wonderful. She's so good. I have to get rid of her quickly before she come punish me. Anyway, please jump to welcome my very good friend on the show, Michael O'Sullivan, everybody. Woo! Hello, Michael. How are you doing?
Good to see you. Love your show. Love your show.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Last time we had you here, your daughter was here.
I was a guest in the
And
audience.
now the father is here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's what I'm
Family event.
Yeah. It's good to see you, and thank you very much for coming on the show. So how you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. The beautiful weather and all that. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Talking about music, Michael, you've been in the industry for long, you know, and looking at what you're talking about over there, it gives one an insight and hope, you know, to go back into the music industry. And coming from Ireland here, you know yourself, it's been a long way.
Yeah.
So tell us, what really gets you into this game when it comes to the music?
Well, I've always, like a lot of people, I've always loved music. It's always been a big part of my life, and it's been a big part of our family's life.
Yeah.
And my daughter, Emer O'Sullivan, who was on your show, is the artist Dreamer, got into music production and started producing her own music. And it was around that time I noticed a real gap in the music industry where artists are so, they love their music and they perform and their heart and soul goes into their work. And yet when you go into the music industry, you have this digital distribution where you can't talk to anybody. Getting music released is just all, again, digital. And you get into getting an audience has become about fighting algorithms, right? And I started finding all these artists across Ireland who had really fabulous music, who had very few listeners. And it's just because, not because they weren't getting an audience, because they're fighting algorithms and things aren't working. So I decided I was going to do something about it. And I started my own company called Stream on Distro. And our motto is, because your music is personal, it should be treated that way. And it started off very slow, basically contacting. I would listen to so many hours listening to music online and finding artists that I thought were really, really good. And I would call them and talk to them and build relationships and say, I've got this music company starting. Would you like to join us? And it started off, a lot of artists would try us with one song because they obviously didn't know who we were. And after a few months, they would start transferring all their music across. And it's grown globally. And we now have over 400 artists worldwide and growing very quickly.
It's amazing when we talk about this industry, because when you talk about music, I'm very much involved in music, you know, before the pandemic and all that, you know, and coming back out of the pandemic and try to get people back on track again is a lot, you know. And when people like yourself comes out to say you can help, you can support, you know, it's a way of showing people hope, you know.
Yeah.
And when you look at the industry, what would be some of the biggest challenges that we will face, you know, especially when it comes to artists, maybe upcoming artists or artists already established themselves as well? Well, what would be the kind of challenge?
Yeah, I think the challenge really, for what I found is that, you know, once an artist puts a song out there, the first thing they have to do is start promoting it. So they go on Twitter and other social media platforms where they start getting bombarded by all these like promoters who say, you know, give us $50, we'll get you 1,000 streams. And so everybody's trying to put their hands in the pocket of the artist, right? And what happens is they're excited about their music, so they might hire one of these promoters to promote their songs, and next thing you know, their songs are being streamed by bots,
Yeah.
which is against the policies of Spotify, for example. Their music can be taken down, they can be not paid for their royalties, and the artist gets penalized for all this online activity. So one of the things we decided to do is that we're going to keep it honest, we're going to keep it organic, and we do the promotions ourselves across social media. We get them on a podcast, we get them on a playlist. I work with a radio station in the US now called ND Jams.
Let me just hold you on that, right? We're just going to go on a quick break, very quick, and then we can come to the other part. Yeah. Okay, if you're at home, we'll be right back after this break. Thank you. Come on, just thank you. Wonderful. All right, before the break, Michael, you were talking about the radio station.
Yeah, what I was mentioning there is that we're doing our best to partner with other like-minded music people in the industry, and we work with a radio station in the US called ND Jams Radio, and they play all of our artists. We work with a fantastic UK podcast show called You Haven't Heard This Music Lately, and we host on that, and they allow us to bring all our artists onto their shows. So in a very organic way, we're trying to get our artists exposure and on the radio and grow, and we've had some great success. I mean, we had one band who joined us. We started at 24 monthly listeners when they joined us. So they now have 45,000.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So we've had, and there's another very Irish band called Dream a Lot who joined us, and they just recently had one of their songs chosen by Netflix for the show Obsession.
Wow.
So they're. So yeah, so it's good. It's really fun. So the thing is that it's personal, and we get to know the artists, and we work with them, and yeah, it's I love it.
So, what kind of music would you kind of preference? Kind of would it be more general stuff, or what would be?
Well, I guess my age, my personal choice is real 70s rock. but I listen to everything, and we have for example, I now have a label based in Nigeria who uploads all their Afrobeat music. So we have about like 150 Afrobeat artists from Africa using our system.
That's good. Wonderful.
So it's good. And so I exposed to music that I probably haven't normally listened to in the past. I listen to now just because I love it all.
Afrobeat. To be honest with you, Afro music is taking over.
Yeah.
Completely. If you know how to rock it. Anyway, Michael, so going forward this year, what would be the kind of portfolio project you'll be working with in terms of the way you want to carry on this? Because it's a huge work, to work with artists, to help them define what they are and help them, connect to that, way of either revenue, move to a different level, you know what I mean, all of this.
Yeah, I think I see the growth in actually trying to get some of our artists performing live, right, and getting them exposure. Also we're maybe looking at starting booking venues into booking and that. So it's, again, we're getting as much as close to being a label without becoming a label, right, and doing whatever we can to support them. So that's the goal.
Amazing. Come on, just a lot to Michael. Viewers at home, this is what we talk about when we come on the show, is to be able to support people like yourself, who have what it takes to offer other people. It doesn't matter what kind of song you listen to, but what matters most is that you have the capability to help and support and guide, so that's what matters. But Mike, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
From time to time, do keep in touch,
Absolutely.
Let your artists know where we are, and we have the platform for them as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Stay with us, Michael.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is the show, as always, to do a question. We're going to go on a break. When we come back, my next guest, well, if you're into fashion, I won't keep that away. We'll be right back. Make some noise!